How free-to-play friendly is Marvel Contest of Champions? Now, this is a question that I get quite a bit on the channel, especially from kind of like budding mobile gamers that are looking at Marvel Contest of Champions. And it's a really weird game, because I'm used to playing MMORPGs like Rift, World of Warcraft, Arcade, WildStar, and before Marvel Contest of Champions, I was hooked on those. But the population was kind of like a massive burst at the start, and then everybody would drop off, and the games would eventually simmer down and die in some cases, or just be really dead by the end of it. But very oddly, Marvel Contest of Champions, over kind of the 2 and a bit years that I've been playing it, has just gone from like strength to strength in terms of the free-to-play experience and the general population. And as a salty endgame player, I am quite salty about the endgame of Marvel Contest of Champions, and I want to give a very wide and very clear perspective on the entirety of the game today. But one of the things that makes Marvel Contest of Champions just such a popular mobile game at the moment is that a good 90 to 95% of the game you can really enjoy as a free-to-play player. And Marvel Contest of Champions is one of those games that is so dependent on both a combination of your knowledge and skill. There's also an element of luck involved in it, but that has been circumvented increasingly over the last couple of years as more and more characters have been added, and like the characters are just absolutely badass. Champion acquisition rates are just absolutely insane now in comparison to when I started. Like when I started, you know, it was like 1 4-star character maybe every single month, but now if you're grinding and doing the right stuff, you know, you're getting anywhere between you know, 10 to 15 4-star characters, and you don't need to be super end game to kind of be around that level. But also it does depend exactly what you're doing and whether or not you have your priorities straight and in order. And a lot of Marvel Contest of Champions is about knowing what levels to get and what stuff to farm. And yeah, hopefully we can break that down and explain it a little bit more in today's video. So yeah, anyway, how free-to-play friendly is Marvel Contest of Champions? So we have 5 different criteria when it does come to this list. We have straightforward content, which is just really trivial stuff. If you have even like a basic knowledge of combat, you're gonna absolutely face roll through this stuff. It is just so easy, so straightforward. And then we have green, which is possible with skill. So if you got a fairly kind of like good understanding of how the combat works, how to parry, how to evade, then you know you're probably going to have a relatively easy time getting this done, not too much challenge. And then we have the possible with skill plus time grinding, and this one is a little bit of a debatable category because there is a huge variance in terms of the skill level that you can have as a player in Marvel Contest of Champions. So, you know, even with like, if you have really elite skills, you might be able to pass a lot of this content without paying like a single dime in terms of units spent. But, you know, for the average player, this is content, I believe that, you know, you want to go in with probably like a bit of a stack of resources, you know, at least 1,000 units worth of stuff saved up. So you might want to grind out a little bit of arena or like save up via logging calendars. And then we have the orange one, which is borderline pay to win. So this is stuff that would just take you so insanely long to grind, or is just very difficult to keep up with. It's kind of borderline pay to win. And then we have the red zone, which is just straight up pay to win. Like, you know, if you're not spending an insane amount of money, there is just absolutely no way you can keep up. And in Marvel Contest of Champions, this category only really falls in terms of like high tier competitive PvP stuff. So that's kind of the only big thing that's pay to win. And the big bit of advice that I like to give generally for anybody that wants to enjoy Marvel Contest of Champions is just don't worry about keeping up. Just play this game at your own pace, play it for what it is, just a fun Marvel fighting game. You know, you can collect, it's kind of like a digital version of like, you know, Pokemon, but you have Marvel and you can fight, and it's just a really enjoyable game for that. But if you get caught up trying too hard at endgame, then you just get trapped in like an infinite grind or spend fiesta. But very luckily as well, that is only a very small subsection of the endgame community, and when you look at the numbers and percentage of people, it's a very tiny percent of people. And we do have again a lot of stuff to break down and talk about today. So yeah, anyway, let's have a quick you know, overview of the different brackets of content. So we have story. So Act 1, 1, 2, and 3, 100%. Very, very straightforward. Act 4 completion is fairly straightforward content as well. There's nothing really standing in your way. You can make tons of mistakes. Maestro is kind of the only challenge when it comes to Act 4 completion. But if you've got a stun champion or power lock champion by that time, which I imagine you will, again, you can breeze through him pretty damn easy there. Act 4, 100%. You know, if you're going for Act 4, 100%, it becomes a little bit more difficult in certain paths and certain lanes, and it does take a very long time to do. So yeah, you need skills there, and maybe sometimes, you know, you need to grind a little bit of arena to get the units done. But there are certain periods of time where the energy cost is reduced for that. Then we got Act 5.1 completion. So this is possible with skill. Act 5.1 is pretty straightforward. Act 5.2 completion is probably one of the biggest step ups in terms of player skill and difficulty, because there's kind of like three new nodes that you need to learn how to fight to get Act 5.2 completion and get the collector down and get the uncollected title. But this is a really pivotal point in terms of player progression, because as soon as you get uncollected and get the collector down, you unlock the uncollected event quest every single month, which usually has been fairly straightforward if you know how to fight, how to deal with a lot of the champions. There haven't been any too big roadblocks. There have been a couple kind of in the history, but a lot of the most recent months have just been very, very easy to deal with. And this month you can just completely choose uncollected if you have you know, like a Ronin, which is very easy to get at this point via something like Realm of Legends. So yeah, Act 5.2 completion. The Collector, Masochism, Bane, Buffet, they're a little bit annoying to fight, but you know, it's possible with skill and time grinding. You know, we've done it on the free-to-play account, which I've had for a year, and we've got tons of gameplay videos up for that. And it's kind of the same with Act 5.3 and 5.4, and also going for, you know, 100% in Act 5 as well. You know, it's possible if you have the skill and also maybe the time to grind or the patience to kind of wait out and kind of stockpile those resources as well. So yeah, just in terms of the story stuff, nothing in the story is pay to win or borderline pay to win, in my opinion. It's all kind of based on skill and knowledge and a decent amount of strategy there, and increasingly there are just more and more options to deal with the story quest. And then we have the monthly event quests. So we have beginner, normal, and heroic, which are all very, very easy to deal with, and if you smash these out and continue to smash them out on a monthly basis, just going to be building up more and more resource there. Master is just a case of, you know, we've done something on the channel for a very long time called the 3-star Master Mode Challenge, and we've been doing that for a very long time, since I was a much, much worse player than I am today. So yeah, Master is kind of just knowing, you know, what to do on every single fight, having that knowledge, being able to play well. So it's very, very skill-based there. Uncollected, it could, you know, borderline be a yellow box here, because for some people struggle with uncollected, but for a lot of the months, there are cheese ways to get through various bosses. But again, these months, these events, and the difficulty of them changes every single month. So sometimes it can be a bit easier, sometimes it can be a bit harder, but ever since I had the free-to-play account, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, I think it's 5 months into my free-to-play account, and we were on a very, very casual grind, wasn't doing anything like arena in the game. Yeah, we managed to smash out uncollected 100% on the second month, so yeah, not too shabby at all there. And then we've got the events. So these are kind of like the big what is it? Feats of achievement, generally. So we've got Road to Labyrinth of Legends, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, super straightforward. Chapter 3, you need the skills, you need the strategy there. Chapter 4 is still very, very difficult and very, very annoying, and something to put on the back burner till the end game of Marvel Contest of Champions for a lot of people. I recommend that a lot of people do Act 5 100% before Road to Labyrinth Chapter 4, just because it's only really good in terms of rewards for unlocking Labyrinth of Legends, which again is a very, very end game thing. But we also have the Realm of Legends. Realm of Legends is so old now. There are so many champions, so many solutions to so many of the fights, so it's become very, very trivial and very easy to do if you just have kind of a decent level of skill. And then we've got Labyrinth completion, which again is kind of, you know, you're going to need to stockpile resources. You're going to need to also get lucky enough to pull a viable Labyrinth champion as a 5-star or 6-star character. But again, the amount of champions that are good for Labyrinth of Legends has just been increasing and increasing and increasing. So yeah, it used to be, you know, you had if you didn't have Star-Lord, you couldn't do it, or, you know, you had to spend a significant amount to get through it. But nowadays, you can, yeah, grind it out, man, and it's not too bad at all. And then Labyrinth 100% is a big grind, man, a big grind. There are free-to-play players that are very hardcore, like Brian Grant, that have done this feat of achievement, but for a free-to-play player to get 100% Labyrinth, it is an excessive amount of time grinding an arena. But you can still do it. It's an infinite source of, you know, units, so, you know, it is possible to get Labyrinth 100% if you are free-to-play. You are not forced to spend there, but again, that's something that a lot of free-to-play players, you know, you just don't even need to worry about, man, because again, it is a bit of a milk in there in terms of the units. And then we also have arena in the game. So we've got the 3-star featured arena and also the 4-star basic, and the 4-star basic has been become such an easy arena to grind out in comparison to what it used to be. The 4-star basic, essentially, when a brand new champion is released, 3.5 months later, they're going to arrive in the 4-star basic arena. So it means, you know, if there's a super hype new champion in 3.5 months, you can get it as a 4-star character. And again, for a good, like 90%, 95% of the game's content, like 4-star champions, they work incredibly well. They're still really, really relevant. So yeah, the 4-star basic, it's not really too much of a grind at the moment, but it is something, you know, arena, it's not really a fun mode of gameplay. You got to sit down and grind. But if you want to get those 4-star champions, they are definitely attainable. And then we got the 4-star featured arena and the 5-star featured arena. Maybe this one's arguably yellow as well. The 4-star featured is still quite a bit of a grind, especially when it comes to new champions. So when a brand new champion is released, they get featured arenas. So yeah, the 4-star one, again, borderline pay to win, because, you know, it is a really, really big grind. It's only like top 800 people that can get it when a brand new character is out, in comparison to the basic, where it's, I believe, generally about 13,000, 14,000 people that can get that character. And, you know, a lot of endgame vets, man, they just don't really care about 4-star basic champions anymore. So yeah, the 4-star basic one is significantly cheaper for those reasons. And also the 5-star featured one, you know, there have been free-to-play players that get the 5-star featured, but it is a case of like staying up for 3 days straight and grinding out this arena, or just doing an excessive grind, or saving up a lot of units to dump into it. So it kind of is a little bit borderline pay to win, but, you know, it still is possible to do without spending any money. So yeah, just to put that into perspective. And then we also have modes of gameplay like Alliance Quest, Map 1 and 2, very straightforward stuff. Map 3, 4, and 5, you can do with skill. You just need skill and some good champions, good matchups. Stun characters are super valuable for getting through all those sentinels. Map 6, you know, for a lot of people, you do need the time to build up quite a big roster to venture into Map 6, and some days, especially if you have high prestige, it can be a little bit of a toll. So, you know, I'd say it's in kind of the yellow bracket there, of being a little bit grindy to deal with, and also you're gonna have to grind for the resources to open map 6 as well. So yeah, that is a bit of a pain in the ass there. And then finally we have the Alliance Quest top ranked rewards. So Alliance Quest is kind of a points-based system based on your prestige, which is your top, it's the your top 5 characters, all their base power index without masteries, added together and then times by 5. So essentially, what I mean by this is, if there is a new prestige champion that comes out, like a brand new champion that they've made the highest prestige, all the big old blubbery whales can whale out on that character, and if they have the resources to take it up, get a prestige advantage. So it is essentially very pay to win, right at the top of AQ ranked rewards. But the good news is there is a lot of really good ranked rewards outside of the top ones, but just to bear in mind, like right at the top of Alliance Quest, it is a pay-to-win fiesta. Like 1,000,000% there, you can gain an advantage, and the Whale Alliances are just going in and out. And then we have Alliance War. So we have kind of like 5 different brackets here, I would say. So we got the tier 1 of Alliance War, which in terms of the player base is the top 0.10%. So not even the top 1%, the 0.10%. And this, because I play in top tier Alliance War, 100% a pay-to-win clown fiesta. Where there are no like full free-to-play alliances up here, to the best of my knowledge, that do not sit and grind all day. I know there are certain players like Brian Grant that play in top tier of Alliance 1, top tier of Alliance War. But again, they are, you know, just not competitive with the proper top people up there like MMX. They get very close to being them, but at the end of the day, the people that have a lot of money to chuck on like top tier health potions, boosts, they can gain that advantage over other people. So yeah, it is a very kind of inclined pay to win system right at the top. I would say between Tier 2 and 3, this is the top kind of, 1% generally. It's very borderline pay to win up there, I would say. There's a lot of, like, people blubbering out kind of excessive amounts of new champion crystals and buying boost and potions, so it's a little bit borderline there. But once you go to tier 4, 5, the top 1 to 5%, really the spending does go down quite a bit. There are not really a lot of people spending up here. You get a little bit here and there, but if you got some good skills, generally you can smash through a lot of stuff. So I would say, that's not quite completely skill-based, because there are elements of, buying potions and saving boost if you want that competitive advantage in Alliance War, but I would say it's fairly borderline. And then kind of, top 5 to 20%, I play in this bracket on my free-to-play account, and nobody's spending it at all. Nobody gives crap in this bracket, to be honest, so, yeah, it's just a case of, like, just playing well to do your path, and yeah, seems to work quite well in the top 5 to 20%, so I would say that's very, very skill-based. And the rest of it, tier 12 plus, so that's 20 to 100%, a good 80% of the player base there. Again, Alliance War in its early game stages, very simple, very straightforward, not too much pressure. All the BS comes in right at kind of the top 5%, I would say. So yeah, not really too much to worry about there. And then we have additional challenges, additional events, so we have stuff like celebrity challenges, we have like the Mignar's Cavalry challenge, we had a Tom Holland challenge, we had a Jeff Goldblum challenge, and these have been, these are just so random in terms of their difficulty, and they come all over the place, but generally speaking, they are possible to do if you have like a couple of the right champions and you can play very, very well. But again, the difficulty of these is a little bit all over the place, but I would say, this is definitely a green, maybe at a borderline yellow as well. And then also we have bonus monthly events, so this is stuff like Trials of the Mad Titan, Trials of the King, that we've had for like Infinity War movie and Black Panther movie, and also stuff that we have this month like Gwenpool Goes to the Movies, which is super, super easy, and also stuff like Dimensional Rifts, Quantum Realms, Micro Realms, so yeah, all that kind of stuff. And generally, this stuff is very straightforward, and most of the time it's quite rewarding, but it does depend on the month. So this can, fluctuate quite a bit, but generally speaking, the bonus monthly events are quite easy to get to on the provision that you've got like a solid roster and you've got a bit of skill. But again, Marvel Contest of Champions, there is a huge amount to progress in, and going through all of this stuff quite quickly at the start makes it seem like it's quite quick, but generally getting to Act 4 and downing Maestro does take people a couple of months, the average player a couple of months, maybe even more. But again, Marvel Contest of Champions, my best advice is play at your own pace, enjoy the game for what it is, don't feel too rushed, but if you do want to get to certain points in the game quite quickly, like getting the collector down, getting uncollected, that can be very, very beneficial to you. So yeah, overall, I think Marvel Contest of Champions 2018 is, if you just want to enjoy the game for what it is, one of the best states to ever play the game. But yeah, right at the top, I can tell you it is a pay-to-win clown fiesta, but if you completely ignore that caveat of the game and just play at your own pace, you are going to have a substantially more enjoyable time. So yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy kind of my thoughts on the current state of Marvel Contest of Champions and how free-to-play friendly it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you think there's anything I've missed, I'd like to kind of update this guide, maybe on like a 6-month or yearly basis, because I think it's a fairly interesting subject to talk about, and it will be interesting to see, how my thoughts and opinions change over time. But if there's anything else I've missed or any additional comments that you have, please do leave them below. But apart from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.